Landlords are taking all the risk. Let's have a look. Hello everyone, Florian.heise here, and welcome to another episode of HeiseSays. I have my stein of coffee, and I thought we'd go through this open letter from the REIQ to landlords, which discusses these changes to legislation here in Queensland, which is going to have a tremendous impact for tenants and for people renting out property. Now, the question is this a good thing? Is this a bad thing? And will this have a long-term impact on the property sector? Will it affect people's ability and desire to buy, invest, or rent out property? I'll let you think about those questions as we go through this. And let us know if you're in this situation, either as a renter or as a property landlord, and what your plans are to deal with it. Do you think this is government overreach? So, will the Palaszczuk government's special COVID-19 protections for residential tenants protect you? Now remember, this is targeted at landlords. As the owner of an investment property in Queensland, if you are not already aware of the Palaszczuk government's proposed special COVID-19 protections for residential tenants and landlords, the Real Estate Institute of Queensland wants to ensure you understand them. As the peak body for real estate in Queensland, we support the need for tenant protection during the pandemic. However, we are fundamentally opposed to some of the proposed measures. You should be too. As a landlord, you will ultimately foot the bill if the following proposals are introduced. Your tenants will not have to pay back any rent. Put simply, a rent reduction negotiated with your tenant is a permanent rent waiver, meaning you as the landlord will be out of pocket with no means of recovering any unpaid rent in the future post-illness. So there you go. I mean, you're pretty much giving them that money. You won't be able to say, okay, I'll allow you to pay reduced rent now and you can pay it back over a time period. Is that fair, guys? You cannot ask your tenant for any proof of financial hardship. So there you go. I mean, if you're a tenant, they don't need to ask proof. So it would be stupid for you not to negotiate in a position to get a discount. Some tenants will probably think that's unethical, but a lot of them will just lie. And a lot of them will really be in hardship. But you can't ask them for proof. I mean, we're dealing with a Labor government here too, so everyone's always honest all the time. Your tenants can request reduced rate due to the illness without any proof. This potentially exposes you to false claims and exploitation of the proposed protections for those who genuinely need it. Yeah, well, we can all see that happening, can't we? Your landlord insurance will not cover you for rent in arrears. The normal terms of your policy won't cover the reduced rent, as this is a mutual agreement between you as the landlord and your tenant, and you cannot follow the necessary rent default process as this is prohibited. So there you go. So what's the point in having the insurance? It's not even protecting you from it. And you've got to understand there's some people that are depending on this income to survive as well, and they're going to cop it too. Your tenancy agreement will immediately extend by 6 months if it expires during the 6-month freeze on evictions. So there you go. So you're stuck with these people even longer. So if you've got someone that's a troublesome tenant, it's also hard enough to get rid of them now, let alone with the current climate and this legislation. Tenants will be automatically entitled to a 6-month extension of the tenancy agreement, meaning any protections may last up to 12 months. Your tenants can refuse entry for anything other than emergency repairs. Not only can your tenants refuse access, they don't have to participate in virtual property inspections either. There's also no clarity as to whether prospective purchasers can inspect a property that is for sale. And people are arguing. I just read an article earlier today. Agents are arguing that property is going to boom. Maybe there'll be all this pent-up desire to get into property that's just been limited due to all of this. Do you think they're going to roll back these restrictions, guys? I know Queensland has been pushing. They've been pushing to have a lot of, rules favouring tenants significantly in place. They've been pushing for it even before all of this happened. So here's an opportunity that they've pushed for. Your tenant can break a lease with only 7 days' notice. To make matters worse, you cannot recover any lost rent or costs associated with finding a new tenant as would normally apply. So we can see here, large businesses are just ignoring their rental requirements. And now, tenants in Queensland, guys, look at this. They don't have to pay any back rent. They don't need to provide proof. Insurance is no longer valid for missed rent. They'll get automatic extension of 6 months. They can refuse entry, and they can break lease with only 7 days' notice. Now you understand how the Palaszczuk government's proposed special protections favour tenants at the expense of landlords. The REIQ needs your urgent help before Parliament sits to pass these protections on Wednesday, the 22nd of April. So there's still a few days. For our voices to be heard, complete your details in the landlord template letter to Premier Palaszczuk provided by clicking here. It's that simple. Together we can make a difference and achieve a more balanced outcome for landlords. The one concern I have with any of these campaigns is that they just ignore them. We saw it with the cash ban. A few hundred people went to public consultations, had much more sway than thousands of people taking the effort to make submissions, hundreds of people turning up to the Senate committee. Yeah, there you go. So guys, what's your take on this? Do you think it'll have an impact on decisions to invest in property in the future? Do you think it's going to impact the Queensland market? You just need to watch those shows about terrible tenants, guys. I binge watched a few of them on the UK just trying to get them out of the property, and it was horrific. The stocks are looking a bit more appealing right now. Let's have a quick look at the website from the REIQ, and I will put a link to this if you would like to make a submission. So everyone matters in real estate. That's why it's important everyone is recognised equally when it comes to the Palaszczuk government's illness response. For landlords in particular, now is the time for your voice to be heard. As the peak body for real estate in Queensland, the REIQ supports the need for tenants' protection during this period. However, they are fundamentally opposed to some of the proposed measures, and they're calling you. So step 1, there's a template letter for landlords and a template letter for real estate supporters. So even people who are not landlords, you can, copy and paste the email address to the Premier and you can submit it. So let's have a look at the template letter. Where is the template letter? Oh, here you go. Dear Premier, as one of Queensland investment property owners, I'm writing to express my serious concerns in respect to your government's proposed special COVID-19 protections. So there you go, guys. I will link to this if you would like to make a submission, as much as it will help, even though I'm so cynical about all of these things. But until then, I'll see you next time. Anyway, everyone, let me know your thoughts and opinions. Do you think these are fair and decent? Or do you think these rules are going a bit too far? Are you going to take the time and make a submission to the Premier? As always, leave your comments below. Please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. If you're a fan and you want to support us, there are a few ways you can. You can join the channel on YouTube or Patreon for a monthly fee. You can use our affiliate links at Amazon or eBay for your consumer purchases, or Independent Reserve and Kucoin for your crypto trading. We have merch from Teespring or the HeiseSays website. You can send us gold using Gold Pass from the Perth Mint, and PayPal if you want to support us that way. Thanks everyone. Have a great day. I'll see you next time.